plea to men to please pay attention to her. She's going out with her girls, presumably. She's done a lot of work to glam herself up, and she's even giving y'all permission to touch a boob. So what is going on, and why aren't men approaching women? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better.
Oh, God. I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, you better.
Touch a boob?
Guys, before we get into today's
It's a
video, please
trick.
like
It's a trick.
subscribe.
Don't do
We're
it.
going to talk about the consistent phenomenon of men not approaching women when they're out, when they're at the coffee place, when they're at the workplace. It's, I guess, just a plague upon a society that is impacting young women right now who want to be approached and who want a little bit of attention to be paid to them. But is that the case for all women? I guess not, and that seems to be the problem. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this phenomenon, in the age group of 18 to 25, for young men, around 50% of them say they have never approached a woman, not
That is
once,
nuts.
not ever, in a
Nuts.
romantic or
Not even
sexual
at school?
capacity. They just cannot find it in themselves to walk up to a girl and hit her up and ask for her number. Now, when asked why they can't find this drive to do so, most of them are expressing that they don't want to be seen as a creep or be accused of sexual harassment.
great point.
In the wake of this whole Me Too movement thing that's happened. Many
I think it's more than just a Me Too movement thing. Let's, to anyone out there watching, TV land, if you have been a working professional for any amount of time, I'm sure that when you got hired, you had to take some sort of sexual harassment training. You had to take training, things to watch out for, and invisible illness, and how to be more inclusive, and yada, yada, yada. And while I think all of that is totally fine, right? We are in an age of acceptance, or at least, I think we are, but there are those of you that would probably say that we're more divided than ever, and I could agree with that as well. I mean, the race baiting and things like that. But all of that aside, here's the deal. When they ram sexual harassment training down your throat, what ends up happening? I mean, you were made to feel like, yo, if you look in a woman's direction, what action can be taken against you? I mean, it almost makes you afraid to have any sort of contact with the other sex, because it's like, whoa. And I got a perfect example for you. So when I was in the police department, every 4 months, we would have to take this training through our HR department. And again, it goes back to sexual harassment, among other things. And I had a female officer that I was working with. Her name was Michelle. And Michelle told me at one point in time, she said, she was a really good friend of mine. She said, watch this. We're going to go into this meeting with all the command staff. And the command staff are going to shake all of your hands. We were a 4-man team. 3 of us were men. 1 of us was a woman, Michelle. The command staff, who were all men, would shake all of the men's hands, but they wouldn't shake her hand. And I said, Michelle, you are full of shit. I don't believe it. So we walk into this. We did an experiment. And would you believe it? She was absolutely right. The entire command staff came up to us as the men in the unit and would shake our hands. But to her, they'd walk up and they'd say, hey, how's it going, Michelle? Wouldn't shake her hand, right? And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, why is that? That doesn't make any sense to me, okay? And then one day, it was probably a couple months later, there was a new officer that came into our building, and I went over to introduce myself, and I walked up to her and I was like, hey, how are you doing? My name is Chris. And I didn't reach out to shake her hand either. And it hit me in a moment of realization. I said, why did I do that? Why, when I walk up to a guy, I shake their hand, but why did I not do that to her? And it hit me. It's because in our HR training, they had been showing that men, if you try to make physical contact towards a woman, it can be seen as intrusive. It can be seen as invasive. It can make them uncomfortable. They can go to HR and get you in trouble. So you let the woman decide if she would like to make that first physical contact. So if she was to reach out to me to shake my hand, that's when it's acceptable for a man to shake her hand, because she has made that determination. But how does that come across to women? It comes across as it's a bunch of sexists that don't want to shake her hand. So it's a very confusing time overall. And that's just a workplace example. Here we're talking about, in real life, a man sees a woman, a man is attracted to a woman. Why won't the man approach the woman? And I think a lot of those factors that we talked about in the business, it's going to play into this right here. So let's
Them are
see.
saying they don't want to deal with any sort of negative social judgment that is going to come on the other end of hitting on a woman and maybe being unsuccessful. And of course, a lot of them don't want to deal with the unsuccessful aspects of hitting on a woman, being rejected. So,
Dude, it's not just the rejection, man. After that other video we watched where that girl, she rejects him, and then she goes on TikTok and completely blasts him out of the water for being a creepy pervert. Oh, man.
now we're in this weird space of having a lot of young women who presumably do not want to be approached when they're out in public, when they're at work, when they're hanging with friends, when they're at the gym, and having a group of young women who do want to be approached. And overwhelmingly, men are saying, we are not going to approach you. And I guess that's how we get videos like this.
Oh, here we go.
Pay attention to me tonight. I'm so sick of this shit. Oh my god. Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very simple.
Oh, by the way, I guess I should address this change in setup. I am out.
I mean, see, and this is another confusing thing. Seems right there like she's accepting the touch of boob, but I'm sure if a guy walked up and just touched her boob, the cops would get called. I mean, look, men are simple creatures. If you're going to tell us something, just tell us so we can understand. But don't say one thing and then I don't know.
About
Guys, if you're watching, I just want you to know, even if she says it's okay, it's not okay. Don't go out there and start touching boobs.
traveling. And while I am not a single young woman who is out traveling, I do see a lot of young women who are, and these girls are getting glammed up to the nines to hit the streets
Holy
in
shit,
hopes
damn.
of being hit on, and apparently it's just not happening for them. And I'm seeing a lot of young women who are responding in the very same way that this young girl is, and this is getting hella responses. I mean, tens of thousands of people, I think, are responding to this video at this point.
Is hella still a word? I think that came out in South Park in the 90s. I didn't realize people were still saying hella.
And expressing
I'm gonna remember that.
their opinion as to why this is not happening for these young women. And many of them are blaming women themselves. Now, I'm going to read you some of
Damn
the
right.
responses to this video so that you can understand what I'm seeing. Lulu says, nobody wants to say this, but the well-intended Me Too exposés metastasized into hysterical witch hunts, creating an environment of fear that altered human mating habits for a generation.
Crazy.
TLDR, we've been scaring the bros. And I can't say that that's not true. In a lot of the surveys that I looked up, sort of trying to figure out why men are not approaching women, most of them said they did not want to be perceived as creepy, they did not
True.
want to deal with any sort of sexual harassment allegations, and they didn't want to be
Boom, right
freaked
there.
out on by a woman who did not.
Well, and here's okay, guys, look, everything in life, from human beings down to animals, it comes to risk versus reward, right? And so, like, let's say that you have a dog. It's a weird example. We're talking about, human beings, but let's talk animals. You have a dog that continues to get in the trash, and all you do is you yell at it and you say, don't you do that again. The dog's going to continue to get in the trash, right? There's zero risk. You're not going to beat that dog's ass, and yet it gets to eat something, so it's going to do it. If the dog gets in the trash, and I'm not telling you to do this, but you beat the ever-loving shit out of that dog, then there's going to be a thought in his mind, okay, the risk is really high, but the reward is just like a little treat. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Okay, risk versus reward. So let's bring it forward. Here we're talking about human beings. She said sexual harassment complaints. It would be one thing if it's just a moment of embarrassment, right? But is that truly what happens here? The risk is not just the moment of embarrassment. It is the moment of, again, feeling like you might be sexually harassing this woman. They take to TikTok, they blast you out of the water, tell you that the whole world that you're a horrible person, as we've seen in some of these earlier episodes. And then if they do, I don't know, call the cops or do something like that just for hitting on this girl. And guys, that does happen. Okay. Again, you're talking to a former police officer that used to go on calls for service like this. And so the risk can be almost catastrophic in some cases. And the reward is what? Maybe you get a number? I don't know. That's out of balance. And clearly we're seeing that the juice ain't worth the squeeze here. You know what I mean?
Wants to be approached. And so many people are echoing this exact sentiment. Chadley says women will literally start a global witch hunt against flirting, successfully destroy it, forget, and then start a new movement complaining that nobody is hitting on them. Bizlet says, would you apply for a job with an insane list of requirements? And furthermore, the company gets insulted for giving them your resume and makes a scene about it. And lastly, you get this little cartoon of a cat that's sitting on a window, and the cat says, I'm so lonely, why must I live this life alone in solitude? Somebody comes to pet the cat.
That's right.
The cat says, don't touch me. Will this loneliness ever end? So, wow. We're scaring the hoes. We're scaring the bros, I guess, as people are saying here. This has overwhelmingly been the response to the video that I showed you, that women have actually created this problem by going after men for hitting on them or trying to pursue them romantically. And of course, many are leaning on the example of the Me Too movement, which of course was well intended. They wanted to go after predators, harassers, people who were actually not well intended in their pursuit of women. But now
But today's men are collateral damage. Right? I mean, you set a precedent, and now men are afraid to make the move. Everything falls online now. And what is, I think, really hilarious, I mean, you have your man, what the hell is that website called, where the hookup site? You swipe left, you swipe right. Tinder. You have your Tinder, and I'm sure that that's pretty productive. But to my understanding, one of the most successful ones is Bumble, where women have to make them first move anyway. By the way, I find it hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Online, right? Online dating. Have you noticed? This is another one of those weird double standards, right? Let's say, whatever, any of those online websites. For a guy to get any attention, if you look at a girl's inbox, all the messages she gets on one of those sites, full, right? Especially if she is good looking. I mean, she could have thousands of requests from guys. That being said, if you look at a guy, it could be just the most handsome guy you've ever met. A few, maybe, right? Like not that many. And so there's a complete, it's just out of balance online. But what I think is really hilarious is the way that men have to be these poets online. And so if you go and you're on one of these websites, you send a message to a girl and you're like, hey, she will never get back to you. Guys, she will never get back to you. And there's whole websites devoted to how to create like the perfect online approach that's like poetic, but it's funny, it's charming in one sentence or less, so it's not a paragraph. And it's like, dude, I'm doing high science here just to get a little bit of attention, right? But on the flip side, you go to the Bumble app where the woman has to make the first move, and all you ever get is, hey, what's up? How was your day? Such a weird double standard, man.
we've crossed a line, I guess, where men who are hitting on women with good intentions just want to go on a date.
By the way, I find this absolutely hilarious. I mean, it's just this joke on society that, I mean, I hate to say it, but women, you get very upset at this. And then I want you to think about all the guys that you've been just an utter bitch to that may have approached you in the past. And I want you to sit there and really think about why men aren't approaching you. I think it's time for you to kind of look inward and say, I am part of the problem on this.
Maybe get a girlfriend, maybe even just get a one-night stand, which is, not the worst thing in the world, have been accused of being creepy. So men are backing off and saying, you know what, if you don't want me to hit on you, if you don't want me to pursue you, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to stick with my guys when I'm going out, or I'm just going to not go out at all, and I'm not going to approach you. And we've actually documented this phenomenon on this channel on multiple occasions. I showed you a video of a girl who got a compliment, albeit a sexual compliment, at a gym, and she went and accused the guy of sexual harassment, created an entire...
Okay, well, and the guy was a little bit weird about it, we will say that. But holy fuck, you can see how she is screaming at this guy in the gym.
entire scene, and all he did was say one thing and leave her alone. We had another video recently of a young girl who got approached mildly, I mean mildly, at a Whole Foods.
See, this is the one I was talking about. Holy crap. This dude just went up to talk to her and asked if she had a moisturizer recommendation, and she's blowing him up on TikTok saying what a creeper he is. And he seemed like a really nice guy from my understanding. From her, the way she described it, he seemed like a really nice, mild-mannered guy.
She came to her car and made a whole video about the guy being a freak and saying that men are going crazy in their pursuit of women. So this is not really being created out of thin air, this idea that men are going to be accused of being creepy for pursuing women. But is that all that's going on? I don't know. When I think about the women that I know, most of them are single. Most of them want to be approached. So I'm trying to think of what other groups of women exist. Of course, there are those who don't want to be approached. And I think something we're not talking about necessarily is women who say they don't want to be approached, but they actually do.
So 90% of women
who say they want to be approached, but they only want to be approached by a specific type of guy. And I started to look into this because, of course, a lot of the men...
Can we just take a step back and think about those videos that women were releasing after Trump got into office? You remember those where they were like screaming and saying, you know, fuck all you guys and sisterly love because you ain't getting a piece of this, and just being absolutely vile. And again, I hate to tell you this, to any women that watch this or are watching this, if they exist on Twitch and Kick, and I'm not even certain that that's a thing. But here's the deal. Men are simple creatures. And if you say one thing, that's how men are they're going to take it at face value. And I find that there's a lot of double talk in my years on this earth where women say one thing, but what they really want is this thing over here that they never said anything about. And it takes a while to really understand how that works. And I think most men don't. And I think the only way forward on this, if you're expecting guys to turn it around, I think you're wrong. You're going to have to play a little bit of ball game, or play a little bit of the ball game here as well. And you need to be a little bit more direct. Sorry. If you want to get hit on, you got to be a little bit more upfront. And I always do think about women overseas, South America or the UK, where the cultural norm is that women are going to approach men over there. It's the cultural norm. So I don't know. Maybe that needs to happen, or just men and women, they stop procreating and America dies off. I don't know. Self-inflicted issue, kind of.
Sphere guys are talking about this 666 phenomenon, the idea of six figures, six-pack, and 6 foot tall. And I wanted to see if there were any numbers on.
I've never heard of that before. 666 phenomenon.
This criteria. As far as height, I did find some numbers. It says only 15% of women show interest in 5'8".
Okay, a survey from Bumble. You remember what I said?
Men on dating apps, and 60% of them are going for a man who is 6 foot tall or taller, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out. So there is an energy of going on dating apps, wanting to make romantic connections, wanting to be approached by men, but you'll be disappointed if you're approached by the wrong man. I saw a bunch of men online saying that they've noticed that women who say they want to be approached often wants to have that approach in order to reject the man. They see some sort of power or strength in being able to reject guys, and they'll do so very rudely. This TikTok is going to
seen that,
exemplify
and I've
exactly
experienced that too.
Can I get your number? Oh. You think you are getting with him? Get the fuck out of here. What restaurant are you taking him to? Wait, how much money do you make? Surely you make like 7 figures, right? You're too short. You gotta grow up a little bit, and then you can maybe get with him. No, yeah, he's good. You can walk away. Hey, you can walk away. Walk away. He doesn't want you. Hello, are you listening? Are you listening? He doesn't want.
Dude, I think some people might think this is not real life. This is absolutely real life.
You're snapped. You're nobody. You're nothing. You're a bum. You're a bum. He doesn't want you. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I would take your Insta though. If you got Insta, I would take your Insta.
And I gotta say, I have seen this firsthand, and it's awful. There are beautiful young women who go out and they say they're looking to be approached or they want a little bit of attention, but what they're really waiting for is to claw out the eyes of the first man who has the audacity to hit on them. So that's a little bit of a problem too. And I don't want to make this entire video seem like it's blaming women for this vacuum that now exists when it comes to being hit on and approached when they go out, but there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of evidence stacked against some women, we shall say. And when I try to think of what men's share of this problem is, maybe it is just a general masculinity problem and the suffocation of...
I just got to say, some women, but those some women, right, the smaller amount are the ones that are very attractive that the guys want to hit on and want to approach. So before you know it, it almost looks like all men aren't approaching women. And the simple fact of the matter, it's because the some women that guys want to approach are extremely vile and hurtful. And so men don't want to approach them.
Masculinity
makes it seem like everyone
is responsible for that. It's a multifaceted issue. There's also the issue of hookup culture. People are going in, they're hooking up, they're having one-night stands, and if you're somebody who is not interested in that sort of environment, not interested in that sort of outcome, I think you're more likely to just outright reject the people who are approaching you, because we just assume that if you are a young person who's approaching somebody at a bar or when they're out, that's probably what you want out of the interaction. So that's probably cutting off a lot of what could be healthier developments when it comes to approaching a woman when they're out and about. This issue is so multifaceted, and I guess men and women both share their slices of the blame when it comes to this being a problem. But what I'm seeing on the internet, which of course is not representative of what's happening out in the real world, is men...
You sure about that?
Over and over and over saying that women are responsible for this outcome, and that's the reason that they are not approaching women. So women, are we responsible for this?
Well, look, is this... Man, guys, this generation that we're at right now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Men, you can be pissed off at me. We've turned men into beta males. Okay, we've taken them away. We've said, if you are the alpha, it's toxic masculinity, and you need to, be more sensitive, and you need to be more whatever. And so we've taken men that could have potentially been extremely good men, right? The Warrior Poet Way, which is a great book that you should read. But essentially, that's where you're part warrior, okay? You are the badass. You are the guy that's out there. You're masculine. God bless America. We're going to defend it, yada, yada, yada. But on the other side of things, you're gentle with your kids, and you're a good husband to your wife and things like that. The Warrior Poet Way, right? You can't be too much one or the other. And we've leaned too much one way as opposed to having that middle ground, okay? So that being said, I don't know. I just think that these men have been told that they should be the beta males, and that is how you know that they're a good man, is by they are the good beta and they let women take the lead and do all this stuff. And then you wonder why men aren't being more alpha and going out there and approaching. And that's essentially what we have. A good example to anyone that's ever seen it. So Justin Baldoni, he's the one that gets into it with Blake Lively. He had a TED Talk that he did where I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only seen clips, but essentially he says, are you going to be man enough, not to make those comments in the locker room about women and talk with your buddies and stuff like that. And again, what he's essentially doing, guys will be guys, right? But what he's essentially doing is saying that you need to be beta or a beta male to be a real man. And I gotta tell you, that's not the case. That's not the case. Okay. Being alpha is a mindset. That's being a man, understanding you're a man, being masculine like a man, and you can develop that. But at some point you got to stop listening to the white noise of people saying, "Oh, toxic masculinity." Who gives a fuck, right? I want to be a toxic male. That is an alpha.
Ladies, is it our fault? And if it's not, we need to defend ourselves in the comments right now, because men are coming after us and saying the Me Too movement, the rejection, the accusations of being a creep, a freak, the negative social judgment. This is what's creating this scenario that's consistently playing out with young women, where they're getting all dolled up. They want some attention. They maybe want to find a man at the end of the night, and they're not able to do so. They're not getting dates. They're not getting hookups. They're not getting numbers even. So let us know in the comments down below, ladies. Is it our fault? If it's not, whose is it? Men, do you agree?
What do you guys think?
Some of the statements in this
Is
video,
it the women's fault?
down below. I'm so open to other interpretations of what's happening, because it was like an echo chamber. The amount of people who are saying this is women's fault and we just don't want to be accused of being creepy, and you guys created the problem with this whole witch hunt thing. So I'm open to other interpretations. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I encourage healthy debate on this channel, so do get out, but do so respectfully. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day, and I will see you guys.
All right. I love her videos. I think she really she has a good opinion about things. The simple